trusted family jeweler.
With the power of Tandem HR, you are in the fast lane on Main Street with Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business and jobs. Now, the champion of networking, the advocate of jobs, the guru of business, your host, Shalom Klein.
We are all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship and business. We talk a lot about business here. You're on with Get Down to Business, and I'm your host, Shalom Klein. Remember, you could always download podcasts from Get Down to Business on my website at shalomklein.com. And while you're there, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Shalom Klein. It's going to be a jam-packed week of content and information you won't want to miss. It's a live show, and we're taking your calls at 312-642-5600, 312-642-5600. This week, we will be joined by guests Vince Allegra, Chad Broderick, Jeff Carroll, and Linda Nichols. Jam-packed lineup of guests. Don't miss a minute of it. You're on with Get Down to Business. I'm your host, Shalom Klein. Remember, podcasts are available at shalomklein.com, and we're taking your calls at 312-642-5600. Get Down to Business is powered by Tandem HR, your solution center. You can find them at tandemhr.com or give them a call at 630-928-0510. So first up on the program, we've got Vince Allegra. Vince, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So you are in an interesting line of work that I can't say I've had much to do with, but tell us a little bit about Midwestern Steel. Sounds like you've been working hard over the past bunch of years at growing a very successful business.
Well, being a subcontractor in this type of work we do, it's strictly something that most of us have started with. Probably for myself was delivering steel out of the back of my car in the back of the 70s.
Oh, wow. So it's been a while, a few decades of working with steel, so you must have a good relationship with the product. And it sounds like you have a great relationship with your customers as well. Tell us a little bit about the people that you work with.
Well, the people I work with or for, let's start with the people that we do work for. We're pretty much a white elephant out, as I would think, in the business world. We reinvent the wheel every day. Our work all comes from working for developers and general contractors, and each job we have to bid, and unfortunately the low number is the only one that ever gets the bid. So we have to be low, you have to be good, and you have to hopefully be in position to get the next job.
So that's certainly a lesson that our listeners can take advantage of. Never take anything for granted. I like that term. You're reinventing the wheel every single day, and that's what I think being in business really is about working hard every day, earning a living every day. There's no entitlements in business.
Well, right away you find out there's no free lunches, number one. And then, secondly, when you do get a job and you're working hard, the next lesson you'll learn is no good deed goes unpunished. And then, hopefully, if you do the job right, and unfortunately, in our world, and it's a pretty tough game. You have to get paid, and the key is you pay your people who work for you, you pay your suppliers, and then you get paid. You're always the last in line. So it's pretty much a finance game from start to finish.
So it sounds like you've learned a few lessons about being in business. Is there anything that you know now, other than, of course, those valuable lessons you just mentioned, anything that you know now that you wish you knew on day one when you started in the steel business?
Well, that's a loaded question here. So the first thing you want to learn...
I never said this would be easy.
First thing you want to learn that you do learn is that you have to learn how to say no. Okay, that it was so easy when you're fearless, you think you're invulnerable, and you can do anything. So, and unfortunately, you have to have that attitude, or who would want to ever start, work for yourself and be out there, and you work for free, because unfortunately, the one thing you'll learn starting out is you are indispensable. Your value is zero, and how else do you build up a receivable without a payable? It's by working for free. So you learn that quickly.
So tell us about the people within your organization. Obviously, it sounds like you are focused on getting the business and bidding on that work, but you have a team of people that you work with every single day.
Well, I'm going to mention some names because
Please.
I'm very lucky to be surrounded with people who've been with me for for 30 years now. If next February will be my 40th year in the business, and like I said, that's starting with literally making steel in the shop and deliver it in the trunk of my car. But I'm going to go way back because if you want to have some real ideas about, and I was thinking about this today, about what it takes to never give up. I'm going to go way back. I grew up in the 60s, graduated in the 70s, and, suburban family in Elmhurst. And everything was, I don't think I ever was out of the suburbs, till I was 21. I was, a lucky kid. I didn't want for anything, but my father did teach us the value of $1. In fact, he owned a car agency since the 40s, Packers, Dodge, Ford, and the value, he taught me how to appreciate a car. Here's a gentleman with a dealership for 40 years, and I drove a '66 Falcon in 1975 until I learned how to wash that car every day. So what I'm getting at is we learned value, we learned principle,
important lessons.
So I took those principles the day I told my father, I think I'd like to work in the construction business. And he said, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, somebody offered me a job to work outside on top of a roof. He goes, what are you going to do? I said, well, I think I'm going to lay this material down, and lay the sheets down, and you weld them down to the building, and they put the roofing on top of it. He goes, you're going to leave the car business for that? I said, it sounds like fun. So 1975 at $6.50 an hour, you go out there, and I guess the biggest word I was thinking about today is for $6.50 an hour, and the key was working for somebody else, and how could I improve myself? And then once you buy your first truck, you buy your first welder, you hire employees. I think the ultimate task for me to keep me going was fear. The fear that you never wanted to fail.
Sure.
You bring employees on board, and like I said, you never know where your next job's coming from. So the fear of letting them down because, they're putting food on their table for their family. So I guess that was the biggest drive for me.
Well, that's
not letting anybody down. So today, going fast forward, so going from laying metal roof deck down at $6.50 an hour, I started selling steel. I opened Midwestern Steel in February '77, and bought a shop in Indiana, Hammond, in '95. And I'd say today we're probably top 2, 3, 4 steel fabricators in the city of Chicago.
And it sounds like you work hard at that every day. We're chatting with Vince Allegra of Midwestern Steel, inspirational messages and lessons about being in business. So, Vince, I know you wanted to call out some of those people that you work with.
Well, first and foremost, I'm lucky enough, I've had people come into the office looking, I never wanted to take on more overhead because of the responsibility of it. So a gentleman by the name of Tony Thomas, came to me the day his triplets were born. and I promised him I'd do everything I could to, make things right with him and make it work well for him. And that's that 1998. So, what is it? 20 some years ago.
Yeah.
So,
well, congratulations on that. Yeah. That's great.
And then I was thinking about this. When I grew up, the key was a successful person was a professional man. So, there was push to go to college to get an education. Being a doctor would have been great. A lawyer would have been okay. So I didn't quite fulfill those two shoes. But I was lucky enough that my sons listened to me. So I have one son who was magna cum laude in finance at Villanova, Vincent, and then my second boy, Anthony, became a lawyer and went to law school and passed the bar and worked in the law business.
And you're the entrepreneur.
And then to finish up, Vincent, I didn't want my kids in the business. Who wants to? We rely on our next job. I mean, here, real simple math. We work on anywhere from 5 to 10%. So it's so easy in the world out there to get beat out of 100. So it's pretty hard to make up 100 when you work on 5 to 10. So I wanted my kids get a good education. Don't do what I do.
Well, it sounds like you work hard every day, and you give a lot of people great opportunities. It's you work hard at earning your business, but it sounds like you're running an honest business, a good business, an interesting industry, Midwestern Steel. So, Vince, believe it or not, we're running out of time. Lots of very, very valuable lessons. Certainly, the lesson of working hard and as you said, earning every dollar that comes to you. But Vince, as we are running out of time, I want to make sure we give people the opportunity to get a hold of you, find out more, and maybe even continue that conversation about the lessons that you've learned. Vince, how can people follow up with you?
Well, you call my office anytime. Area code 630-741-0000. Would love to talk to anybody. Be happy to pass on any advice I could.
Appreciate it. Vince Allegra from Midwestern Steel. We appreciate the advice, the information, and certainly look forward to following up with you here on Get Down to Business. Once again, you can always download podcasts from Get Down to Business, the show that's all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship, on my website at shalomklein.com. Coming up, we got Chad Broderick of the John Buck Company. He's going to be telling us about a fantastic event coming up on June 16th at the Merchandise Mart, benefiting the big brothers and big sisters, and you don't want to miss it. So after the break, coming right up, we've got more advice, tips, and information for you right here on Get Down to Business. Don't touch that dial.
How can